I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How was your life?
Going. And before we get started, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Like we said before, the best thing you can do is follow us everywhere at Opposite Pod, or you can just search Opposites Attract Podcast. Look for us on YouTube, find the Clips channel, and share your favorite clip with somebody else, and let them know that the show's out there. Have them like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out.
Putting my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Okay. Okay.
So what's up, babe?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Oh,
this is the first podcast of the year.
Yay.
Happy 2025 for all of you out there. It is still 2024 for us.
Yes.
It is, what is it today? The 28th we're recording?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's Saturday the 28th. And we're wrapping up the year, still enjoying the last week. What's up, babe?
Nothing, I'm just listening to you.
Yeah. You can jump in whenever you like.
Do you want to start over? Why do you have to go there?
Why?
Or leave it in?
Go ahead. Leave what in? All the freaking...
I was just listening to you, watching you. What's going on here? The bite.
Yeah, you bumping shit.
So happy New Year, everyone. We would love to hear from you. So if you're a part of our Facebook page or YouTube, wherever you can communicate with us, we would love to hear what your 2025 looks like. What are the things that you're wanting to experience, things that you're wanting to release and let go? Would love to hear from you guys. And if you would like, you can actually call us and leave us a message, and we can actually play it on the following episode. And let the world hear.
Yeah, you can call us at 480-331-9846.
Yes.
You can leave us a message. You can send us a question. You can be anonymous. And we can play it on the show.
Yes, there you go. So I know you shared with us some things that you're looking at doing. And so you want to share again or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, a couple like physical fitness type things. And I want to do some more. I want to be able to do some muscle ups and like the breakdance windmills and some other stuff. But very cool. I'll work on that little by little.
So with me, there is something that's been in the making for quite some time, but I just have not felt called to put it out. I've mentioned it here and there, but it's my podcast. The Soul to Soul Conversations. And so I need to look up to see if that name is still free. I need to put a date to it. I need to really just sit down and put some thought into it. And so that's going to be coming out in 2025.
The name doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody takes it, do you know how many Opposites Attract podcasts there's been since we've started? There's been a handful.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a handful that have started. And like I said, when we first started this podcast, what was going to happen? We would outlast them all. And we have. Like they've come and there was one that was like Dancing with the Stars or some shit. There was another, I don't know, but.
Yeah. And so I had mentioned this on the previous podcast. My word for the year that came to me was consistency.
Yeah.
And so starting the podcast and sticking it out, right? Like sticking through the entire way through makes me a little nervous, and I think that's part of my growth. I feel that in 2025, that is part of my growth. So I'm doing the things that make me feel uncomfortable, just like joining this, movement, this being movement I was asked to be a part of. It's an 8-month commitment, once a week, doing a Zoom call with people from around the world, like spreading just love. It's a collective of, just how to become better people,
Yeah.
And so that, when I was asked to do it, made me feel uncomfortable because it's an 8-month commitment.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, it's that, and it's being consistent with everything. Like working out, I'm okay, but there's times, weeks where I'll take off, right? Like it's just, but I think overall with everything in my life, I think going to the gym has probably been the most consistent thing in my life.
Yeah.
Aside from like the businesses, once,
You got on a roll. Yeah.
right. But it's just doing the thing that needs to be done every day, whether I feel like it or I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And so, our next retreat is May 8th through the 11th. So that's already in place. I already have the schedule prepared for that. So I'm getting together with a friend of mine who's going to help with, putting all the loose ends together, and we're going to roll that out.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys can get a hold of us if you're interested in going to the retreat. However you can get a hold of Sonja. You can get a hold of the podcast. You can find us on social media. Just get a hold of us and we can get you the information for the retreat.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And I want to, I think for my birthday, I want to skydive.
Okay.
And it's funny because it's something that's exciting. It feels exciting. But I think that once I'm up there,
it's a different thing.
Yes.
I don't know what the percentage is. I've heard that there's like a big percentage of people that go up and don't jump.
Really?
Yeah.
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 So that will be interesting.
Yeah.
Enough.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I was talking to Audrey about doing a vision board.
Oh, yeah.
So I have my sister coming. And so I'm thinking maybe we'll do that together.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to join?
What? The vision board? For what? I'm good. Dude, like, there's times that we get into like these. Everybody's different. And people do things their own way. Like not everybody does vision boards. Not everybody meditates. Not everybody, like people do shit the way they do shit.
Right. Mm-hmm. I have a friend who takes some crazy ass, like he goes cycling around the freaking world. And that's his form of just meditating, being one with nature, doing the hard things. Yeah. You just got to find the thing that drives you, that motivates you, that works for you, because everyone is different.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned to you, I think a few days ago, for you, what it sounds like to me is that jujitsu is your form of meditating.
Yeah. That, hiking, running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime you can quiet the mind, or at least, that's what it's all about. It's focus. It's quieting the mind. So finding that thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you and I went out for breakfast, and we've been talking about visiting a Buddhist temple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. Actually, when we first started this podcast, I had one of my friends on from like my childhood, and he got into like Buddhism and all that kind of stuff. And he kind of shared some stuff with us. And that was like kind of the very beginning of like us looking into stuff. And I think at that time we said we were going to go to some place, and we had looked up a couple places, but we never actually did. And then yesterday after breakfast, we stopped by a Buddhist temple that's around here.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Very cool. I'm very excited.
And we're going to stop there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. So I met, her name is Hong. She's the one who, I guess, takes care of the temple. Like she lives there. She takes care of the temple. And there was just a beautiful connection with her. And I started talking to her about the retreats and what it is that I do. And she actually opened up the space for me.
Yeah. She offered
Which
for you
is
to
great.
come over and yeah.
And she does the meditations. So I'm excited to experience her meditations.
Yeah. Something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it is different, I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see when we get there.
Yeah. So that will be something different, right? To try. And the kids, we're going to take the kids with us.
Yeah.
I didn't ask if.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids don't get no Zen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how they run the temples, but yeah.
I can't imagine
because
that.
their service is at noon, which is in Vietnamese. And then after that, I think she said it's lunch.
Yeah. And then meditation and then yoga or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. That'll be cool.
Yeah. And right after that, I was on Facebook and there was a post. And this was a friend of mine or someone that I knew, like an acquaintance from Legal Shield. So decades ago,
back.
right? And he had a post up. And he was talking about how the new age of spirituality and all these things are satanic.
Yeah.
And listed all the other religions in there, right? Though Buddhism isn't a religion, it's a way of living. At least that's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
That's
it's
what
like
I'm
a philosophy.
gathering.
It's a philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From what I'm reading. But there was so much on there. I was very curious to see the comments. Because I feel that that's going to be some of the backlash. that I
going
receive
to a Zen or a
once I really start
Buddhist
opening
temple
up,
or something.
On I think it's the podcast. The podcast.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
going
that's
to be people from all walks of life sharing their experience, their spiritual experiences, their journey,
yeah.
Right? Their near-death experiences, like all these things. Because I want people from all different walks of life.
Yeah. I've always said, like, if the truth is the truth, then why can't you ask questions? Why can't you investigate? Because if it's the truth, you're going to come to that conclusion no matter what. Now, if you start coming to other conclusions, then what does that mean? Well, maybe you need to look into stuff. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But if the truth is the truth, that's what you'll end up at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just sad because there was a comment on there that talked about the way that he was sharing, and he was very well versed in the Bible. Very. And there were comments about unity. And what the Christianity, that religion, what it causes, like the division that it causes. But just listening to the back and forth and how it's just angry. You could feel like the tension just by reading the comments.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, is that what God wanted? Is that what Jesus wanted? He wanted us to turn on each other?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something that's kept coming back up for me recently. And actually, the other day I woke up early and I got on ChatGPT and I just started asking ChatGPT like some questions, like these philosophical questions about certain things. And I was asking it to act as a counselor or as a Zen teacher or Buddhist teacher or whatever, like Alan Watts or whatever, just to have see what responses it gave. And one of the things that have kept coming up for me was, it's very, for me anyway, it's very simple to see that any religion I mean, immediately, if the religion, like let's say you go to heaven or hell, or you have to have this belief or whatever, immediately that is division. Because there is a group that is going to be in, and there is going to be the group that is out.
Right.
Automatic. And that to me seems off, like you said. That is not, I don't think that would be the intention of any creator. Imagine you're a parent. This kid's in, that one's out. I picked this one, that one's mine.
Right.
The rest of you can go figure it out. You know?
Yeah.
And when you look at all the other things that are like that, that split us, what are they? Race, religion, politics, nationalities. Like, and what are all these things?
Right.
These are all things that we have created.
Right.
These are our ideas. Because if you look at, I mean, I mentioned it last week, black, white, like where did that come from? Like, where is the division between black and brown? At what point?
Right. And
and is it Hispanic brown or is Indian brown? Or are they both brown? Or are they different types of brown?
Have you heard, well...
And the way I see it is, there is no division. We are all sharing this planet with the animals, with everything, with the rivers, with everything. Like, and when you look at life, like, I think you can distill it down to that, to its simplest nature, and that's what it is. It's just that we are all sharing this house together, you know, and we are not different. I mean, maybe we, like, look at our kids. They look a little different. One's a little lighter than the other. One's hair's a little lighter than the other. But we're essentially all the same.
Right.
We all have strengths and weaknesses and differences, but we're all pretty much the same.
And these differences that are being created are taught in the home. First.
And you look at human nature. That is what we do. That is what we do. You can find tribes in Africa, in the pygmies, where they are from the same place, but they will discriminate against each other because they came from this tribe and they came from that tribe and this tribe sucks.
So that's just human nature.
It's just human nature that we split each other up and divide each other.
And there's categories now.
Yeah, that we made up.
That we've created.
Right. And
so,
and in like, it's just clear to see.
Yeah.
As soon as, like, I'm Christian and I'm saved and you're not. Like, because if I can be saved, that means that there's other people that will not be saved. Automatically. If there's a heaven that you can go to, then there's people that are not going to get in.
Right. So regarding the destruction, like the wars, just all the things, when you think back to back in the day, right? When we were in tribes, we were still at war, just on a smaller level.
Yeah.
So when, like, for me, because I'm better now, but I was very sensitive to things that, like, tragic, like things that were happening around the world. Like when you brought up the Palestine, you know, the war, everything that's happening there.
Yeah.
And like I told you, like these things I'm aware of, but I can't live in that light. I can't live in that space.
Yeah.
And I don't want
hard.
to.
Yeah.
It's a choice and I don't want to. And these things, when you look at it like the way you just said, it almost takes off the heaviness that weighs.
What do you mean?
Because it's what we've been doing forever.
Yeah, true. Like it's human
It's
nature.
just
Like there's
part
nothing
of who we are.
Right. That's just it is what it is.
Exactly. It is what it is.
But it's
now we're smarter. We were talking about this the other day. We're smarter. We have created some shit that can wipe us out.
Yeah.
That's what makes it different.
Yeah. Getting wiped out by an asteroid is one thing, but us destroying ourselves is something completely different. You know?
Because of a bomb that was created.
Yeah.
Or because...
Can't say that.
Sorry.
Now we're going to get flagged.
But do you know what I'm... Like...
The B word.
Yes. Like... So, yeah, when you just said that, it really just... It's like, it is what it is.
So when I was asking ChatGPT, like it was responding to me or whatever, but we were talking about this. And a question that it asked me back, it said, what do you think keeps people from letting go of these divisions and embracing this shared existence? And I responded, I said, I think people struggle accepting that some things are unknown and will always be. And the more you know you don't know. Also, if someone is part of a group, I think sometimes you don't have to take the ones not in your group in as much consideration. If the truth is that we are all just beings on this planet, that means that we would have to take responsibility for the destruction and the suffering we have caused each other and the planet. And then Chat responded, yes, the unknown unsettles us because it humbles us. It reveals that our understanding, no matter how vast, will always have edges where mystery begins. Yet this humility is not a burden, but a liberation, for it frees us from the need to have all the answers. As you say, the more you know, the more you realize how much remains beyond your grasp. To embrace this is to step into a profound peace, where not knowing becomes kind of a knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is one of those things that is just so hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
When you step into that, and we were talking about detaching
from everything.
From everything.
From the labels that we put on each other, from all this stuff. Like, I'm American, I'm a Christian, I'm a this, I'm a, like, all that stuff.
It brings an inner peace within. When you find that inner peace, and it's not something that stays, it's something that you have to work on through meditation, whatever that may be for you. Because there's always going to be something that comes up. There's always going to be a challenge, and there's always going to be an obstacle. It's just, how are you going to handle that? Are you going to go back to your old ways? Or are you going to use the tools that you know? And it's easier said than done. Because when I'm in those dark places, I know I'm very aware. I'm very aware of me and my thoughts and the action or the lack of action that I'm taking. And it's just sitting within that and giving myself time.
Yeah.
To come out of it. And then having you by me to remind me. Because a lot of times you see me. Like, you see when I'm in a funk.
Yeah.
And you help to remind me.
Yeah.
And you tell me it's really not that serious.
Yeah. And you know, like yesterday or over the last couple of days, I think it was yesterday, you know, I was talking to the Chat GPT. Part of it was because I was in a little funk. Like, well, there's something that I want to share, and then we can kind of continue on from there. But I've told you before that, like, with my non-belief, right, being whatever these labels that you want to put on atheist or whatever, that there's something about, like, it's hard to find somebody that really understands how you feel, how you think, what you believe. And I was telling you yesterday that part of being human is wanting to be understood. Is to have somebody else that knows how you're feeling inside. And I was telling you that with so many people out there, like even with the smallest thing, like we went to your mom's house for something, and it was like she accidentally said somebody's name, and they're like, oh, so and so must be thinking of me. You know, like even in the smallest way, like she probably doesn't really believe that, right? But there's some people that do. And even in the smallest way, there's like these little superstitions and these little spiritual, like I'm gonna lean towards the skepticism, the unexplained, where there's no evidence, but I'll just go that way just because I like it, or that's just how that's how people are wired, you know. But I have like zero of that, absolutely none. And to find somebody that knows what that is like I've never come across anybody that's like that thinks the way I do. Never. I don't know if you have, but it seems like everybody, at least at the minimum, has a little something. There's some magic out there, you know? And I'm like, it may seem magical just because we can't explain it yet. And we might wipe ourselves out before we can explain it, but it doesn't mean that it was magical. There is an explanation, but it's unknown. Just like I was reading in ChatGPT, and it's okay that it stays unknown. You may never know. We may wipe ourselves out before we ever figure it out. But it may not be what you think it is. But you want to lean that way. But anyway. Yeah, it's tough, you know, like, so I was having this, I was having these thoughts, like, dude, like nobody fucking gets it. Like nobody gets me, because like I said, one thing that I was mentioning to you is that, and I've mentioned it on here before too, I don't think that any two people have the same belief, even if you're in the same religion. Mm-hmm. Even if you grab two Christians that are almost exactly the same, or not exactly the same, that have almost all the same beliefs, there's going to be something that's a little bit, I don't know if I believe it that way. I believe it this way. So maybe 99.9% of your beliefs are the same, but there's that 1% or that 0.1% that's a little bit different for you than it is for them. But you're still Christian. And there's an entire spectrum of, you know, closer to literally what the Bible says, and I just kind of go with the flow of things. And then you kind of just fall off from there to just spirituality. I don't believe in any religions, but I believe that there's stuff out there and this and that. And then all the way, you know, into where there really isn't, but there's just superstitions and stuff like that, right? And like for you and your circle, where maybe you're not super religious, but you guys are all spiritual, connected in a way, like you say. So when you have questions or you have these contemplations or whatever, you have a circle of people that think and feel, and a community that you can come back to. And I was kind of thinking about like where there is no non-belief community. There is no community of absolute non-belief.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a pretty lonely place to be. And I was in this funk, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT about some of this stuff. And it was really cool to, you know, some of the stuff that I was going back and forth. But even at the end, that kind of feels hollow, because I know it's a fucking robot that I'm talking to, not a person. You know, so in the end, it's fucking what? ChatGPT is the one that gets me. You know what I mean? But there are people, because like that's where the information's coming from. But like you were saying earlier, like I was in this funk, and then eventually like we talk about it and this and that, and I was just like, all right, enough. enough of this. Go put some music on. Like, time passes. And I come out and I'm on to doing my thing. And I was just kind of thinking, like, maybe this is life. This is human nature. That we go through these cycles, that we contemplate these things, that they put us in a funk. Mm-hmm. And then you have to think about, this is life. This is human nature. It is what it is. Moving on.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
It's I call it enlightenment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's becoming more aware, higher consciousness. This is the way I see it.
It's awareness.
When you go through these, there's different levels. I know you don't like that, but I don't know how else to explain it. I need to think about it more to explain it in a way where you can actually
can you give me an example?
Understand. But like right now, you are going through an awakening. I don't know. Higher consciousness.
Give me an example.
Use your example. You're feeling a certain way. Certain thoughts are coming up. These thoughts are creating these, and not, we are not our thoughts, right? But a lot of times when there's something going on within that's deep-seated, or things that you are now able to, it's very hard to
explain. Things that you can pick up on, and awareness. What?
Okay, I'm just going to go there because I don't know how else to explain it. You and I were going through, whenever there is suffering or discomfort, which is what you were feeling, you don't run from it. You run to it. You question it.
Me?
You sit with it. This is how you sit with it. You contemplate it. You talk to ChatGPT. This is part of your healing. This is part of your shedding to get to the next level of higher consciousness, of higher awareness, mindfulness, whatever you want to call it. And every time you go through pain, you go through these sufferings, and a lot of times it's internal.
Yeah. You know, this higher consciousness thing, would you say that the realization that I talked about a few weeks ago on one of the other podcasts, you guys can look that one up, where we were talking about how women's history has pretty much been non-existent, how nothing was ever recorded from the beginning of time, really, until recent times, until women were seen more equally, and then they start like, wow, she was an amazing woman, and, you know, write a book about her or whatever. I mean, you go back a few hundred years. I mean, the Bible is 3,000 years old. Civilizations are I don't know how many thousands of years old. But we've only been recording what women say and do, or like really. I mean, yes, you have, you know, Mary Magdalene or whatever in the Bible, but there's not big parts. There's not a lot of women that have big, you know, that roles, we have history, like, right?
Right.
Not until maybe a couple hundred years ago. It's like, oh, wow, there was this incredible woman that sewed together the flag of the United States, and then we know something about her or whatever, right? Is that a point of enlightenment, of higher consciousness?
For who?
For me. Like, there was that moment where I'm sitting here contemplating all these things, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, wow. You know, like, throughout history, we have silenced women. Like, there is a whole other mind, like the consciousness, like it's the consciousness of men that is written in books, everything. Like, it's all men's thoughts. The women's side was never recorded. Is that like a moment of enlightenment, or kind of like awareness? When I'm looking at the Voyager spacecraft and I look at the information that's on the Voyager spacecraft and what we sent out into space, and knowing that our physics, our music, the sounds of our planet, our languages, the sounds of our kids are on this golden record in space. And that is like Earth's fingerprint on a golden record sent into space. And then all of a sudden I had that realization here and I felt it. Is that higher consciousness?
So all of those bits and pieces that are helping you to become more aware, more mindful, it's getting you to really contemplate and see things in a different light.
Okay.
All of those lead to enlightenment.
But they're not enlightenment.
Because you as an individual become that.
So is that,
it's
or
an
is it
inner
not?
wisdom, right?
So what is that though?
What is what?
What is that? Is that enlightenment? And if that's not enlightenment, then what is it?
No, I was sharing all those little bits and pieces of awareness that are coming to you within your being, right?
Is that higher consciousness?
Higher consciousness, I think, is also enlightenment.
So these things
something
are
I need to
higher
look up.
consciousness.
So it's like the more mindful you become, the more aware you become of you as well. It's a lot of it is you. The shift in you. The things that start to change within you.
Yes, but these things are happening
and
from
it's all
contemplating
part of
these
that.
things.
And it's all part of that.
When you start to see that, dude, we're not all that different. Wow, these things are all splitting us up. I don't want to be part of these teams anymore. I don't want to be, is that, they all came from these things, right? Like knowing that the record of women has just never been recorded gives you empathy for women. And for like, it's a feeling, right? Is that higher consciousness, enlightenment?
That is when you started to become in tune with your emotions. That's enlightenment.
Well, what I'm getting at is that we try to, higher consciousness sounds like these levels. Like there's these levels. And
because there is.
All these things are is just knowing without the veil, without the manipulation, without the brainwashing, without all the bullshit.
Right.
And higher consciousness makes it seem like it's this complicated thing to get to. Like it's so much more simple than that.
It is very simple. It's going out into the woods and spending time with nature.
Because to be Christian, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to meet these requirements and this and that. Or whatever. Like, but to be a being on this planet, to be human, there's no requirements. You just are that.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
It's releasing and letting go.
When you look and see that, there really is no United States of America. Where is that? Take all the labels off the map.
Right.
Where is that? It's not hard to see. For
you. Because of where you're at in your journey. Because someone down the street would not feel the same or even think the same way.
I get it.
Or wouldn't even contemplate it.
But whatever that is, it splits us up. Yeah, no, he's wrong because Jesus is the only way. Well, you just split me and you up. See, the way I see it, you can't split us up. You can't split anything up because we're all the same. We're all part of. You can't even split us up from the things that are non-living because it's because of the non-living things that the living things are here. It's the yin and the yang.
Because we are one.
Yeah.
In its simplest form.
We
are one.
And it's so simple. Just look at it and it's like you said, in its simplest form. Anytime you try to justify things that don't make sense, it gets complicated. And it's not hard to understand that we're all the same. Look around. There are no lines on the in the dirt.
Yeah.
You know, there's a sign when you cross from California to Arizona. Who put that there? It's obvious that fucking some dude hammered that thing into the ground. And if that thing wasn't there, how would you know where you're at?
Yeah.
So they fucking made it up. It's crazy.
And you still get to choose to play this game on Earth and have all these experiences and enjoy it, because the journey is very short.
Yeah.
So try not to spend too much time in the dark space, because you can spend a lot of time there.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it does come in cycles. Mm-hmm. And part of and it's not, you know, maybe it's not a bad thing.
No.
You know, it's a reminder of what is. You know, like the thoughts that I was having are not untrue. It's not like they're not real. Right. It is true. Mm-hmm. But I don't have to like dwell on it forever. I could think about it for an afternoon and then move on. I can't think about it forever. I just can't. Mm-hmm. You know? Like I said, like there's times like you come across something and it affects you. You know, I listened to a podcast about the pygmies and the water that they don't have, and then the way they treat each other, and it fucking hurts. Mm-hmm. Like people that I don't even know, like just how people could be that way with each other. But you can't sit in that. Like, you know what? You feel it. Donate $50 if you got it. And then, you know, if you can do something in the future, do that. And then, and then if there's something around you, try to help, try to do something, you know?
That's another thing that I'm looking into that's we
something
can do as a family.
I would like to do more.
Right? Yeah. That we can do as a family, right? Is giving back, getting back into that service mentality.
You know, and I think for me is just like doing random stuff at random times, because it's not something like plan out, like just like something that, hey, this afternoon we're going to go buy some stuff and go do it.
Yeah.
But just doing that more often.
Mm-hmm. So care packages, right? That's something that's been coming up a lot for me. And I know that I have a friend, Leela, who does it as well. So I had mentioned it to her when I was helping her with the gifts for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something I want to follow up with her and do. And I used to volunteer at the Dream Center.
Yeah. That was tough.
Very. And I enjoyed it though.
Yeah.
So that is another thing that I want to put back in place. And I don't know if Audrey is old enough. Maybe. But and that might be really, actually, I don't know. Like, is
what
that
was the Dream
something
Center?
We would provide breakfast and hygiene products to the homeless, like women, only women. So they would come in and we would make breakfast. We would serve them. And then there was separate rooms where they could go and shop and pick up hygiene products, things that they need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when it's tough
and so you can conversate with them and hang out with them, talk to them. And some of the women that would volunteer there on a normal basis knew them, knew them.
Yeah.
You know? But it was tough. Like when I went, I'm like trying to keep it together. Right? But it's reality. It's reality. But instead of feeling sorry for them, it's like really doing something.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I want to, we need to do more of that. We should do more
I
of
want
that.
to.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's little things here and there.
So you went to go visit mom today.
Yeah. Went to go visit my mom and take the kids, and yeah, Joey's like, ever since he's been a little kid, he's always like collected rocks and all that stuff. And we went over to one of their neighbors' house who has like this giant, like he makes actual jewelry out of minerals and rocks and crystals and all this stuff. And he's been collecting stuff for forever. And it was cool. It was really cool because he's got his workshop with his, cutting wheels and his buffers and all that kind of stuff. So Joey could actually see what somebody that really does this stuff, what it looks like.
Yeah.
And he was able to pick out some geodes and cut them in half and all that. Yeah, it was really. You gotta check it out. I took some videos. I'll show you.
Okay, good.
But it was really cool. Yeah. We got to do some more of that.
How did was he still excited? Because I know he's into this kid, 3D printing. He is all over that.
Oh my God.
The things that he's creating, he is very much into it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he was excited.
So that's why I was like, he
was excited about it. But then he did ask the guy if he was into 3D printing.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, he's like fucking 70 something. Yeah. Focus on the rocks.
Yeah.
No, 3D printing, dude. We're here for crystals and minerals. I thought you liked that,
Yeah.
But whatever. It's all good. No, he had a good time. And I was telling the guy, I was like, hey, maybe, when we come over to visit or whatever, or if there's a day that you could, because he's an older guy and he has like some trouble moving around and grabbing stuff and picking stuff up. And I'm like,
Joey can
this
volunteer.
Kid, like if you need like a little apprentice that, you can teach how to do some stuff and
that can help
he can help you move things around. It's like, he can do that. So maybe he's like, I think it was kind of like but he didn't want to be like, yeah, I'll take a little guy and put him to work,
Right.
But we'll see. Little by little, maybe we can. They did say like, whenever you guys want, just let us know and you guys can come by and look at stuff and do whatever. Yeah, he loves it, so he loves sharing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be fun.
So good. So yeah, Joey gets into these things, and it's crazy because they're not things. Well, for one, he started off with Transformers. And Transformers, all kinds of little boys love playing with Transformers. But not all of them are into like transforming them.
Yeah.
Right? Like most kids, like I witnessed it with his friends. They're like, I can't do this. Or they break them and they're just like done.
They don't have the patience.
It's not my thing.
Patience for it.
It's not my thing. But it's funny because when you talk about patience, would you say Joey is very patient?
No.
He's
persistent, but not patient.
Right.
Because he gets pissed off and he'll stop and I quit and all that, and then he goes back to it.
Yep. Legos. He was the same way with Legos. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He was the same way.
Yep.
And then he got into Rubik's Cube.
Same thing. 3D printing, same thing.
He used to drive you bananas.
Yeah.
Right? It's all these little things.
Yeah. Yeah, and today I was talking to him about like working on changing that mentality. It's like, dude, you always keep coming back to it and you always figure it out. But you always like lose your shit and you want to quit. Like you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. Fuck these Transformers. Fuck the Rubik's Cube. And he gets all mad. And I'm like, dude. And then 30 minutes later, he's like, let me try it again.
Right.
He's like, oh, I got it. And then he's got to come back to you with, guess what I did? It's like, oh, I thought you were going to snap that thing in half.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to hit it with a hammer.
He's just a little man.
And it's like, dude.
I mean, that's how a lot of men are.
Instead of like saying, I'm going to smash this thing into 10 pieces, just be like, I've had enough for now. I'm going to walk away for a little bit. I'll come back later and try it again.
And how long did it take you to get that awareness?
Shit, I don't know.
There's times where you're still that way, right?
Yes. But you know what? Nobody was ever fucking telling me shit.
Right.
They fucking left me alone to fucking flip the fuck out and figure it out for yourself.
Right. You told
There's
me.
no guy. Like, if you grew up when we grew up, there wasn't any fucking guidance. Mm-hmm. Figure it out. Yeah. Deal with the shit.
And look how good you all turned out.
Yeah, maybe we just need to like
You know?
let them. Yeah.
Or you were telling me that you went on a work trip with someone, and that he was trying to take a picture, and something happened, and
It was hilarious. Yeah, so I'm zenning out. Like we're out there, and it was like these rolling hills, and it was like this area. I think it was in Connecticut where it's like super old. Like there's houses there from like the 1700s, 1800s, like old barns. But it's one of these things that like I still, there was this barn. I have the picture of it in my head. The barn was just like old, and you could just see like all the old wood paneling. It looked all like dark brown and beat up. But there was something about it that still like it was still put together. And then there was like this flower bed in front of it, like with all the grass in front of it and just bright flowers. And I was like, man, that looks cool. I have a picture of it somewhere. And at that same time, like we're driving through these rolling hills, and there's like the sun setting, and we're like, oh, let's see if we can find a spot to park and catch the sunset. It's like, yeah, cool. So we go do this, and my friend that I'm with is trying to get a picture of the sunset, but his phone is not unlocking. And those of you that go to watch the sunset, like it's going down. Like
Right.
it happens within a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to take the pictures, you're going to miss it.
right.
And he's trying, and his phone is just not unlocking. And I'm taking pictures,
Yeah.
and I'm taking pictures of him losing his shit too. And in the meantime, he was like taking his phone out of the case, and at one point he's just like, fuck it. And he like launches the phone into the field. And I was just it was just the dichotomy
Oh my gosh.
of the beauty of the sunset
Right.
with this
Oh
dude
my
losing his
gosh.
fucking shit. It was so funny, man. And
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what? Like that is a moment that I actually shared with him afterwards. Like we'll remember that. It was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Those are the moments. I remember you
I hope
telling me
I
that.
hope he got to see it, because it was an incredible sunset. I have a picture of it, so he did get to see it, at least through my picture.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we all have those moments where we just lose our shit.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's what we do sometimes, you know?
Yep.
And so it's part of being human.
Yeah. It's one of those things, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself. At the end of the day, don't beat yourself up too bad about fucking anything, because it'll be over before you know it.
Yeah. It's constant
Wow, that was a fucking downer.
forgiving, like having to forgive yourself for doing or not doing this shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's just not that serious in the end, you know?
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
But it's just that. It's continuing to learn,
Yeah.
continuing to grow. You know, if you don't imagine if we never changed.
That'd be terrible.
Could you imagine being a 23, having like all the things when you were 23 or, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
younger, like being the same person?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love where I'm at today. I don't want to go back. The wisdom, the knowing of the not knowing, like all of that.
Yeah.
I would not want to go back.
Yep. There was something that I shared with you. We can't watch it. It's too long. But you had been telling me, because you're a couple years older than me, you were like that when you turn 40, that like life is different. You know? And then recently, like that's been happening for me. It seemed like the day I turned 40, it's like shit starts fucking just like take the veil off, take this off, take that. I was like, oh shit, what's happening over here? What's happening over there? You know? Like I see clearly now. But and that's been like the last year and a half, right?
He's at the beginning and I'm like,
What
no,
are you,
I'm going to
what are
be
you
48.
talking? What is this
You're
beginning
41,
shit?
right? You're 41.
What is it? Where do you think you're at?
Well, I'm
Like
just
you're
saying,
close to the finish line or what?
Not at all.
I mean, where?
But what I'm saying is I remember being 40 and like you said, like just releasing and letting go. And it's constant.
It's not. Well, one thing is that it's not being 40 because our son is 13.
Right.
And there's times that he said and expressed things
Yeah.
that you're like, hold on a second. How do you know that at fucking 13?
Who's parenting him?
Exactly. It's different.
Yeah.
So the age, yes, it does have an effect, but it's not the only thing.
No, because there are younger people.
There's also people that are in their 50s
down.
and 60s that are fucking
I know.
brainwashed as fuck.
I know. But this is, and I know you don't like, whatever. Though being around others that are on that journey will rub off on everyone that's around.
Who gives a shit? What does rubbing off do on anything? As far as your understanding of shit, what is rubbing off on somebody else? That does zero.
It's
for enlightenment.
It's
for understanding.
Love.
But it does zero for your understanding of the world.
I don't know what you're talking about right now. But when you're around someone who is on that journey of awakening, of enlightenment, that energy transfers. That's how I feel. Just like I loved you to love, same shit. Same shit.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. You turned it somewhere else and I forgot what the hell we were getting at.
You're talking about Joey.
Yeah.
And 40.
There was but there was this video that we watched. It was Carl Jung. He's a old one of the great psychologists or whatever. And he was saying we watched the video that said that life really begins at 40. And it's because like that's one of the points in your life. Like it's supposed to be your middle age. And that's when everybody thinks that you're having this midlife crisis. And for some, it may be a midlife crisis. For some, it may be. We were talking about that. What is that midlife crisis? I mean, I'm in my midlife. Would you say I've been going through a midlife crisis?
I don't know. Only you would know that.
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm not fucking out here trying to buy Corvettes and fucking dye my hair and fucking like all this bullshit. It's like, no, I'm doing my thing.
Well,
like,
those are for people that don't know how to.
No, but that's a midlife crisis because what happens is you're in the middle of your life. Mm-hmm. And what are you trying to do? You're not trying to be there. You're trying to go back. You don't want to be in your midlife.
There's a lot of emotions and things that are coming up that are making them feel a certain way for things that they did not do, or there's a lot of regret. There's a lot of trauma, pain that's popping up and they're not wanting to face it, see it, feel it.
So the way that you deal with it is by buying some shit or by going and doing this and going and whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And like for me, it's all been an accumulation of knowledge, of understanding, of awareness. And then when you get to this point, it's like, what are we doing? Like, why am I doing that? Why are they telling me to do that? Mm-hmm. Who says that I need to do that? Wait a minute. Why are they better than me? Mm-hmm. What? You know, and you start to see how people see other people. And it's like, wait a minute. Why is that? Like, it doesn't seem like we're that different. And it's a whole, like, you just start looking at your life and, like, what you've been doing, what you've been spending time on, what you've been thinking about. And when it becomes a crisis is when you can't accept what's happening or what has happened, what is going to happen, where you're headed. Like, if you can't accept these things, you're going to have a crisis. Mm-hmm. You know? But for me, it's just been like, wow, this is life. And I love it. It's great. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. I love understanding what it is at this point. Because, like I said, I love not being brainwashed. Like, that happened not that long ago. Just like all these things adding up. Maybe, I guess no. I was going to say like maybe you go through either or. Like either you're going to go through like this period of understanding and awareness or whatever, or you'll go through a midlife crisis. But I don't, that is a human thing right there, what I just explained. And that is something important to understand. It's either this or it's that. That is not true always. We want shit to be that way. Either this or that.
No, it could be an and. It could be a... Yeah.
It could be you just keep doing your thing and you never... Maybe you saw things clearly from the beginning and you don't have to go through this whole thing because, like Joey, maybe he won't go through a crisis because he's been seeing things the way they are since he was young. Mm-hmm. Right? But as humans, a lot of times we want things to be either this or either that. And there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of back and forth. It's not always this or that.
Right.
And that gets us in a lot of trouble when you think it's either this or that.
Yeah.
You know?
And with that, we hope you all have an incredible, incredible New Year's.
Yep. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Yes. And again, feel free to give us a call.
Yep, 480-331-9846. Make sure you guys follow us at Opposite Pod on everything. You can search Opposites Attract Podcast and follow us. And share with somebody else. That helps us out.
Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
together. Bye.